So this is from the plea hearing where petition to enter plea of, and say it with me, chat, guilty. He's guilty in felony case pursuant to Rule 15. He's a felon. He's guilty as charged. Doesn't this mean that he can't have guns anymore? Isn't that the case in America if you're a felon? Now, this will be discharged, as I understand it, provided he keeps his good boy behavior up in like 3-4 years or something. So he'll be able to get the guns back one day. But as of this moment, he's guilty felon. But there's a couple of surprises in here. So let's see. I've never seen one of these before, so it's kind of interesting to me. So this is the state of Minnesota, county of Kandiyohi, district court, judicial circuit 8. The state of Minnesota versus Nicholas Robert Recator. To the above named court, I, Nicholas Recator, defendant of the above entitled section, do respectively represent the state as follows. My full name is Nicholas Robert Recator. I am 43. Oh, I thought he was 45. Okay, never mind. He's a little bit younger than I thought he was. 2 years. Just like the 2 years he lost being high. I am 43 years old. This is a bit of a scribble. Are we confident in this 43? Maybe the lawyer wrote this. Maybe it's not Nick. Maybe it's not Nick. It's a little bit of a rough, but I'm no one to judge. My handwriting's pretty bad as well. It's slightly better than Josh Moon's handwriting, though, at least. Oops. And his date of birth is in 1981. The last grade that I went through in school was law school graduate. And I was kind of confused why this would be here. But basically, the reason you tell your education level is that you want to make sure that the person signing is competent. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call Nick's Whippet cheese whole-filled brain competent, but he did go to higher education. So in theory, he should be able to sign this knowing full well the consequences and the severity of what he's signing on for. If filed in my case, I have received, read, and discussed a copy of the indictment complaint. I understand the charges being made against me in this case. Specifically, I understand I have been charged with a crime of drugs in a second degree in violation of Minnesota statute, possession of ammunition and firearms in violation of Minnesota statute, and child endangerment in violation of a Minnesota statute. And it has the statute numbers there, but I'm not going to read them. This was committed on May 23rd, 2024 in Kandiyohi County, Minnesota. I am represented by an attorney whose name is Francis Herbert White. That's the Barnes Walker. And I feel I have had sufficient time to discuss this with my case attorney. I am satisfied that my attorney is fully informed as to the facts of this case. Well, he did follow Barnes's opinion about this. Remember when Barnes said that Nick Recator has already won? That's who he's referring to here. My attorney has discussed possible defenses to the crime that I might have. Oh, sorry, possible defenses. I am satisfied that my attorney has represented my interests and has fully advised me. And then he goes through the checklists. Number 6, I have never been a patient in a mental hospital. Well, he's not far away from it, it sounds like. Lord Asurum with 5 says he's an unfunny comedian. Can you be an unfunny comedian? It feels like that's the requirement of a comedian is to be funny. His good experience is embarrassing, and he's not a Christian trad dad anymore. I don't know what he can do to turn the show around now. Now, this might surprise you, but there is a large group of people that just want the status quo to keep going. So Nick could do anything. They'll never be worried about that. He could probably murder his family and they'll still keep watching him. As long as he keeps going live at the same time, he plays the theme song and he's like, what's up, guys? You know, those sort of people, they just want noise on the background. They don't want to think. They just don't want to feel alone. And they're just going to keep watching the show regardless of whatever happens. Every bad person in history has had a group of fans. It's just the way things are. That's why serial killers get notes in prison, because there's a lot of wine mums that are lonely and just want to fill their day up with some law-splaining. Scumbag Josh, who hopefully isn't me, says, no matter what happens, next Mr. Fight the Power and Screw the Government, bent the knee, suffer neck. That's true. He said that he would fight the government, stand up for his rights, stand up and be heard, but he cowed at the government. And it seems like the only person that is standing up to the government is Aaron, because Aaron's decided to go to trial, which is very surprising. I thought he was just going to take a plea or something as well. Let's see. Now, both of these are crossed out, so I'm not sure which one's correct, but I assume that it is the I have. I have not talked with, I have talked with or been treated by a psychiatrist or other person for a nervous or mental condition. I'm pretty sure he said that he went to therapy, so I assume that's the right one. Now, yeah, this you put your initials over it, like the correct one, right? If you make like a mistake like that, I'm pretty sure. So this must be the right one. He has been to see a psychiatrist, which is probably for the best. That's page 1. And this is a short document, by the way. I have not been ill recently. Now, I press X to doubt on that one, but all right, fine. I'm not sure what they mean by it. I have recently been taking pills or other medication. Now, I assume what he's referring to here is his allergy medication. He gets, I think, like an antihistamine or something injection because he has a heat allergy, the allergic reaction to working or doing anything. So he's been taking some medication for that. He literally needs medication just to move and not start sweating. And I guess this is AKYN with the 2 says, is this him holding government accountable? Cheers. Yes, it is. He's about to admit to everything, though. I mean, that's part of the plea agreement. Let me see. Where was I? I do not make the claim that I was so drunk or so under the influence of drugs or medicine that I did not know what I was doing at the time of the crime. Now, I press X to doubt on this one. And if you remember, you do have access to the custom. Well, that's the wood chipper. We don't need that one just now. This one, the doubt. I'm pressing X to doubt on this one. Because he clearly was under the influence at the time of the crime. But I guess, like, if the actual crime is purchasing the drugs, I guess, is that the instance where it first began? Maybe he wasn't high when he purchased them the first time. I guess maybe that's how they do it. I don't know. But I have my doubts very much so about this one. Let's see. I do not make the claim that I was acting in self-defense or merely protecting myself or others at the time of the crime. No, of course, he was standing up for himself. He was just in it for number 1. I do not make the claim that I have... I do not make the claim that the fact I have been held in jail since my arrest and could not post bail caused me to decide to plead guilty in order to get the thing over with rather than waiting for my turn for trial. So it's just implying that... he didn't just sign this. He wasn't being coerced to sign this because he had to get out of prison, basically. A lot of these have to do with not showing that you're in your right state of mind and that you weren't coerced. It's on your own volition that you're accepting this plea deal. Let me see. I was represented by an attorney when I had he didn't have it during the probable cause. Well, he was representing himself, so I guess technically he did, right? When I had my probable cause hearing, I have not had a probable, and then it says I have not had a probable cause hearing. But he did have one, right? Didn't he? I guess not. No, I guess not. Oh, he did. He did have one. Okay. I see how it works. Then it says, I know that I could now move that the complaint against me be dismissed for lack of probable cause, and I know that if I do not make such a motion and go ahead with entering my plea of guilty, I waive all rights to successfully object to the absence of a probable cause hearing. I also know that I waive my right to successfully object any errors in the probable cause hearing when I enter my guilty plea of guilty. Guilty. My attorney has told me, and I understand, that the prosecutor for the case has against me has physical evidence obtained as a result of seizing and searching for evidence in the form of statements, oral or written, I made to police or other regardings of crime, evidence discovered as a result of my statements or as a result of evidence seized in a search, identification, evidence from a lineup or photographic identification, and evidence the prosecution believes indicates that I committed one or more other crimes. That I have the right to a pretrial hearing before a judge to determine whether or not the evidence the prosecution has on me could be used if I went to trial. Now, Nick claims that if he did go to trial, the state would have a lot of problems proving that it was like his drugs and not like planted there by Aaron, etc., etc. It's pretty open and shut, regardless of what Nick says. I have been told by my attorney, and I understand, that if I wish to plead not guilty, I'm entitled to a trial by jury on issue of guilt, and all jurors would have to agree I was guilty before the jury could find me guilty. That if I plead guilty, I will not have a trial by either a jury or by a judge without jury. That with knowledge of my right to a trial on the issue of guilt, I now waive thy right to a trial. I have been told by my attorney, and I understand, that if I wish to plead not guilty and have a trial by jury or trial by judge, I would be presumed innocent until my guilt is proved beyond a reasonable doubt. I have been told by my attorney, and I understand, that if I wish to plead not guilty and have the trial, the prosecutor would be required to have the witness testify against me in open court in my presence, and that I would have the right, through my attorney, to question these witnesses. I mean, who would he bring on the stand, though? That the maximum penalty of the court could impose for this crime, taking into consideration any prior convictions or convictions, is an imprisonment of 25 years. So that would be the maximum. There's no way he gets jail time at this point. I would be shocked, but I guess it's still on the table until the sentencing in April. So it's not applicable. That the prosecutor is seeking an aggregated sentence, and that's not happening here. Now, this is the interesting part. This is a very interesting part. I have told my attorneys, and I have understood, that my attorney discussed this case with one of the prosecuting attorneys, and that my attorney and the prosecuting attorney have agreed that if I enter a plea of guilty, the prosecutor will do the following, given substance to agreement. Plead guilty to amended charge of drug possession in the 3rd degree. So he's getting his drug charge knocked down a level. Statutory stay of adjudication pursuant to Minnesota statute, and that means that well, basically he's not going to really get anything. It's a slap on the wrist. It's a slap on the wrist. The remaining terms of the sentence at court's discretion. The state drops all other charges. That means that the possession of weapons is off the table, and the child endangerment is off the table. And this is what a lot of us who have been commenting on this case have been pontificating, thinking about the idea of what is holding up the plea deal. And that is that Nick could not bear to admit to being guilty of child because the internet would never let him live it down. So it seems like he was holding up to argue for this. But one other thing, and this is the very, very interesting part. The other thing that they have bargained for in this agreement is that the state dismisses the case against Kayla and the case against April. That is surprising. And actually, I have to say this is a Recator W, because he manned up finally and decided that he's the only one that's getting punished. So Kayla's free to watch the rest of Deep Space Nine. It's getting very spicy over there in the Bajoran system. The the Gem Hadar about to come through the wormhole, and she couldn't spend any time doing anything. Okay, so Kayla's fine. Kayla's fine now. April, and we might have to do a vote here, chat. April's free to go, so we have to bring out might be the last time we get to see it. The Ape Escape. Ape has successfully escaped. She is clean and free. April has got no problems now. All that's wrong is she has to pay for rent, but she can't stay in the second house anymore. Okay. Now here's the question: did Nick decide to man up? Did Nick decide to man up so he could get his wife off, or did he decide that he would go to bat for the ladies because he couldn't bear to see April in pain? And people made the joke earlier, but yes, this is the only time Nick has gotten 2 girls off. Very funny. I had a chuckle, but I think a lot of people said it now, so it's not as instantly funny to me. But I have a feeling that he did this solely for his love for April, because he talks about April, he misses her, he wants her back. Unfortunately, it seems like she may have been disappeared. And when I say that, it means that there's a rumor, conspiracy theory going around that the parents came along and offered her maybe a cash settlement to just bugger off and sign an NDA, because she's just been like completely silent. Nobody knows what she's doing. And apparently last time she was talking to Keanu, she was doing whippets in the car or something. I don't know. I haven't really followed it. It was a big Keanu stream that was like 9 hours long. I couldn't get through it. But I think he did this. I think he did this for April. I think he did this for April. Do you think he did it for Kayla? If you think he's on Team Kayla post 1, if you think he's on Team April and would do anything for April, then post 2. I've heard through both open and closed channels that Nick constantly just talks about April and how much he misses her, and he hasn't learned a thing. But, be your own judge. Be your own judge. The original charges, the prosecution could proceed against me just as if there had been no plea of guilty and no plea arrangement. So he could still withdraw his plea in theory. That's not going to happen, but there's like a 1% chance. There's always a chance, right? That he could decide, he's like, you know what? I withdraw my plea of guilty. Let's go to trial. I want to prove that I'm a man. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. It's over. It's over. My attorney has told me, and I understand, that if my plea of guilty is accepted by the judge, I have the right to an appeal. And he can still appeal it as well. But again, I don't think it's going to happen. It'd be a waste of money at this time. And considering how lightly he's getting off, he should just take his lickings and go. This is a really favorable deal for him. And it basically amounts to a slap on the wrist and no guns, I guess, and no voting rights until his charges are dismissed in a couple of years' time after playing good boy. Now, the question is he going to break his probation period? We'll have to wait and see on that one. A lot of people think that he's not going to make it a few months, but you never know. Maybe he does turn around. Maybe this is the start of something beautiful. Maybe he has hit rock bottom, and this is the only way to go is up now. But I don't think so. Let's see. My attorney has told me, and I understand that if my plea of guilty is accepted by the judge, I have the right to appeal. Yeah, I read that part. My attorney has told me, and I understand the judge will not accept a plea of guilty for anyone who claims to be innocent. Therefore, I now make no claim that I am innocent. So if Nick says, I never did nothing, it was all the government, they set me up, if he can't say that now legally, or he accepts up his plea deal, which is very funny. And that's, you better hope he doesn't get a few canisters of nitrous and have a bit of a fun time in someone's chat and just say, like, I was forced into something. That might be a pretty bad result for him. I have been told by my attorney, and I understand that if I wish to plead not guilty and have a jury trial, that I could testify at a trial if I wanted to, but I could not be forced to testify. That I have decided not to testify, neither to the prosecution nor the judge could comment on my failure to testify. That my knowledge of my right not to testify, and that neither the judge nor the prosecutor could comment on my failure to testify at this trial, I now give up this right, and I will tell the judge the facts of the crime. My attorney has told me, and I understand, that if I am not a citizen of the United States, this plea of guilty may result in deportation, exclusion from administration to the United States of America, or denial of citizenship. Now, of course, Nick is an American, so that's not going to happen. Somebody joked in the chat earlier they should deport him to Mexico. Not Mexico, sorry. They should deport him to Jamaica. That's what he wants. That's where he wants to be. But I think he can't. I'm pretty sure he cannot leave the state of Minnesota now unless he has permission from the court. Going to other countries, many countries will not allow you to visit them if you have a felony. So, for example, he can't come to Japan anymore, which is very sad. He won't be able to indulge in his love of anime until this is expunged from his record in a few years' time. So he can't go deep on that sushi, and he can't get extra kawaii during the Sakura season or something. So the Demon Slayer reunion tour, he's going to miss that. His waifu Nezuko is going to be left cold in the dust. Very sad for him, but it is what it is. And also, he said that he was planning to go to an event called Hackmania, which I think is Melton's show. I'm not sure if he's just a part of it. It's his show entirely, but whatever. He promised he was going to go down to Las Vegas and drink and fight and have a roaring good time. He now has to ask permission of the court to do that. I'm not sure they're going to give him permission. He has to ask for Daddy Government's permission to go there. He's like, Daddy Government, can I go hang out with a bunch of comedians that like to get drunk and high and talk about the guy that I have revenge charge against and was part of the drug scene? I have a feeling they're going to say no. I don't think he can be trusted to go down there and have fun anymore. He's being grounded essentially for the next couple of years, which is very funny because he wants to be a free and honest libertarian. Now he has to ask the government for everything, which is probably the funniest part of all of this. Some people are saying that he deserves worse, and this is a light sentence, and it is a light sentence, and maybe he deserves worse. But I think he's probably been through enough. Or at least I would say that if he seemed to be showing any sign of repentance. But he's so smug about it, so I don't know. But realistically, being made a laughing stock, having your entire life exposed, having your children taken away for 3 months, having your entire career basically destroyed, that's a pretty harsh sentence in itself. Sometimes the process is the punishment, and he's had a pretty bad time already. Although I do see some suffers in the chat, so maybe he should suffer. But it's been pretty bad so far as well. And the funniest thing is that now he isn't free to just hang out and drink and spend time with the women that he wants to hang out with, because the sentencing will probably include a clause to avoid troublemakers like April, because usually you're not supposed to be able to just hang out with your druggies as soon as you get your plea deal, right? Now, you can't do that with Kayla because Kayla's his wife. But yeah, he's probably not going to be able to see her again legally. But we'll have to wait and see. I'll have to wait to see.